Before we get started, if you're enjoying this content, you can do us a favor by subscribing to our YouTube channel and ringing the bell. That'll let the algorithm know that you like this content and it will help us produce more.
It's not about having fancy marketing or the best branding. It's about having something at the core that actually works and solves a problem.
Welcome to Honest Ecommerce, a podcast dedicated to cutting through the BS and finding actionable advice for online store owners. I'm your host, Chase Clymer, and I believe running a direct-to-consumer brand does not have to be complicated or a guessing game. On this podcast, we interview founders and experts who are putting in the work and creating real results. I also share my own insights from running our top Shopify consultancy, Electric Eye. We cut the fluff in favor of facts to help you grow your e-commerce business. Let's get on with the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Honest Ecommerce. I'm your host, Chase Clymer, and today we're welcoming to the show Dr. Amy Divaraniya. She is the CEO and founder of Oova, an at-home diagnostics company bringing clarity to the complex world of fertility. Welcome to the show, Amy.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm excited to dive into this. This is a really interesting product, and surprisingly, we've had a few products as of late that were kind of in the sex realm. So I'm going to have to ask Nikki if she's going down a rabbit hole of products in that area. But I'm excited to dive in here. So before we talk about the product and the kind of all that stuff, take me back, your doctor, obviously take me back to the history. What was going on in your life that kind of led into building a brand?
Sure. Well, I guess I should caveat everything with, if you go back to like me in undergrad, I never thought I would be in a business setting.
Yeah. So
I avoided every business class like the plague. I'm like, no one should ever trust me with their money. This is like, I'm headed to med school. That was my plan. But for some reason, I could never get myself to go to med school. And I ended up going after my PhD and doing things a little differently. But during my PhD, I realized very quickly that getting pregnant wasn't what my health teacher said. It's not like you have sex and you're going to get pregnant. It was the complete opposite for us. That being said, I kind of anticipated my journey to parenthood to be a little complicated because I've had irregular cycles my whole life, but I didn't expect it to be as difficult as it was. Fast forward 18 months, I luckily conceived my son, but those 18 months were the most devastating of my life. And the worst part was I didn't learn anything new about my cycle in that time. After using all the products that were available, like at your local drugstore, all I really learned was that I had irregular cycles, and I knew that going into my journey. So what I noticed was that the piece of information that was really missing from my data set was understanding my hormones, because that dictates everything in our reproductive system. My journey also opened up my eyes to the fact that women with irregular cycles had no solutions outside of two. The first is chance, and the second is going through invasive treatments. And if you didn't want to go through invasive treatments, you're really left with nothing to help you. And I wanted to change that. So fast forward 3 years, here we are with Oova, where we have an at-home diagnostic that is designed for women with irregular cycles.
I've done this interview probably dozens of times, founders interview, and it is the most common kind of answer to the question of where'd you get the idea from this product is, there was a problem in my life and I realized there wasn't a solution on the market. When you experienced this problem, were you kind of, looking around for solutions? Within doing that, did you realize there was a market for the product as well?
Yeah, I think it kind of brings me to one of the core pillars of our company, which is destigmatizing infertility. So when I was going through my journey, I was pretty open about it because I didn't know what to do. Like Dr. Google can only answer so many questions before it drives you crazy. So I started talking to some of my closest friends. Like these are people I talk to on a daily basis in some form, right? And as I was opening up about my struggle, one of my closest friends says, well, we're going through IVF. We just started our second cycle. And I was like, how did I not know this? Nobody talks about infertility. No one talks about these issues because they think it's so personal. But because we're not talking about it, it's also stigmatizing it and not raising awareness to how common it actually is.
Absolutely. Now, with the efforts to destigmatize this, is that play into your marketing with the product these days?
Yeah. So like I said, it's one of the core missions of our company. How do we destigmatize it? And for me, the way to go about it is by actually empowering women with data. I think the reason that things get stigmatized is because people just don't know enough about it. And it's hard to advocate for yourself if you're not informed about your own body. all you can do is say, I'm going through infertility and I don't know why. It's hard to talk about it because the other person doesn't know what to offer you in return to help you, right? So with Oova, what we're trying to do is really empower women with data so they can finally understand what's happening internally. And through that conversation, it's about education. I mean, I'm pretty educated. I have a PhD in biomedical sciences. But to be honest, I am an expert on fertility because I had to teach it to myself.
Absolutely.
We don't learn this stuff in school.
Now, with this product, it is, it's interesting. It's a smart product. It links up with your phone. So what was kind of the journey like from the ideation of like, can we build a product that solves this problem that so many women experience to like getting, a prototype? What did that look like?
Sure. So it was actually quite funny. I went into a conference room with my now advisory team and I was like, all right, look, I am struggling like crazy with this and I don't know what my solution is, but I don't want another woman to go through the exact same thing. So let's set the pillars of success, right? So the first thing was the product had to be quantitative. It could not be a binary yes or no, a smiley face, blinking smiley face. It had to be a number. The second thing is it had to be done non-invasively. So no blood tests. It had to be done with urine, ideally. The third piece was that it had to be clinically trusted. Then, so if you took your results to a doctor, they should be able to like understand what was going on and take the next step. The fourth piece was it had to be done in real time. So no mailing of samples. It had to be done in the privacy of a woman's home. And the last piece is that it had to be personalized. I wanted to understand what every woman's unique fertility profile was because I truly believe that every woman is different and we shouldn't be compared to standard thresholds. So all 5 of those pillars are pretty crazy to strive to achieve, even any one of them. But I was like, if we don't check off all 5, I'm not moving forward with Oova because I didn't want to be a subpar product in this market. So we hit the ground running. I started, like my background's in data science, so like I had the data component covered. We brought in an engineer, helped with like the technology side of it. And I also identified a contract manufacturer to help kind of think through the biochemistry. And with all of that, within, I want to say 6 months, we had a prototype with the concept that we could actually do it. Not that it worked to like the standard that I wanted to work at yet, but we could get there. And that's really what steamrolled us moving forward with the company.
Yeah, I mean, I think that something I really want to highlight here is that you were motivated by solving this problem and it was very passionate to you. And I think that that's what separates a lot of entrepreneurs that succeed from those that fail is it's got to be passionate about what you're trying to solve. Absolutely.
I mean, it's a business at the end of the day, but like there's a reason that I am answering every single support ticket because I genuinely care about our users. I want to make sure they're getting the experience that they're paying for. And also it's a learning opportunity for us, right? What are we doing wrong? What are we doing right? How do we iterate? And in what direction do we iterate? So it is a passion. And I think the pandemic probably highlighted this for everyone. To roll out of bed and walk into your home office and sit down here like at your desk for like 12 hours a day to work on something, you need to be passionate about it.
Absolutely. I'm sitting here at my desk in my home office, very passionate about interviewing entrepreneurs. If you're struggling with scaling your sales, maybe Electric Eye can help. Our team has helped our clients generate millions of dollars in additional revenue through our unique brand scaling framework. You can learn more about our agency at electriceye.io. That's electriceye.io. Mesa is the expansion pack for your Shopify store to level up your brand. By turning all your apps into your business epicenter, Mesa can help lighten your workload and tame the day-to-day chaos of running your store. Join successful brands like Mudwater, Chubbies, and Golden to learn how to use clever workflows to get more done without more overhead. Whether you need to order details in Google Sheets, products added on Etsy, or customer information updated in your CRM, Mesa connects your data where it's needed most. To put it quite simply, Mesa is a better way to work. Browse pre-made templates for Shopify's most popular apps to get your first automation up and running in minutes. Search Mesa, that's M-E-S-A, in the Shopify App Store and download the app today. Is your store holiday ready? Now is the time to make sure you and your team are prepared for the busy season ahead. Gorgias, an omni-channel help desk built for e-commerce, has machine learning functionality that takes the pressure off small support teams and gives them the tools to manage a large number of inquiries at scale, especially during the holiday season. Gorgias combines all your different communication channels like email, SMS, social media, live chat, and even phone into one platform and gives you an organized view of all your customer inquiries. Their powerful functionality can save your support team hours per day and makes managing customer orders a breeze. Merchants can close tickets faster than ever with the help of pre-written responses integrated with customer data to increase the overall efficiency of customer support. Their built-in automations also free up time for support agents to give better answers to complex product-related questions, providing next-level support, which helps increase sales, brand loyalty, and recognition. Eric Bandholtz, the founder of Beard Brand, says, "We're a seven-figure business, and we have essentially one person on customer support and experience. It's impossible to do it without tools such as Gorgias to help us innovate." Learn how to level up your customer support by speaking to their team. Visit gorgias.grsm.io/honest. Mention this podcast when you sign up to get 2 months free. That's gorgias.grsm.io/honest. Our partner Rewind can protect your Shopify store with automated backups of your most important data. Rewind should be the first app you install to protect your store against human error, misbehaving apps, and collaborators gone bad. It's like having your very own magic undo button. Trusted by over 100,000 businesses, from side hustles to the biggest online retailers like Knix, Gatorade, and Movement Watches. Best of all, respond to any of their welcome emails and mention this podcast, Honest Ecommerce, and get your first month absolutely free. Getting an online business off the ground isn't easy. So if you find yourself working late, tackling a to-do list that's a mile long with your 5th cup of coffee by your side, remember, great email doesn't have to be complicated. That's what Klaviyo is for. It's the email and SMS platform built to help e-commerce brands earn more money by creating genuine customer relationships. Once you set up your free Klaviyo account, you can start sending beautiful, branded messages in minutes thanks to drag-and-drop design templates and built-in guidance. And with e-commerce specific recommendations and insights, you can keep growing your business as you go. Get started with a free account at klaviyo.com/honest. That's KLAVIYO.com/HONEST. So you get this prototype. Obviously there's probably some iteration upon it, but you finally decide that, like, all right, we're going to take this thing to market. How do you get the word out about this product?
Sure. So I guess, how do we get the word out? It's a very interesting story because it's not the way I anticipated it to go, I guess is the caveat. So it took me 3 years to get to a product that we can actually put on the market. And in those 3 years, while we were developing, I was talking to whatever clinician would give me the time of day, right? I didn't care what kind of doctor they were, how many patients they had, or anything. Any doctor that would give me 5 minutes of their time, I was asking them what kind of data they wanted to see, how would they want to visualize it, what would be important for them, what can I do to instill trust in my product so that when a patient comes to you, you would look at that information. And so when the pandemic hit, honestly, the last week of March, we were supposed to kick off several clinical trials, but New York City shut down. And so all of our trials are forced to be postponed. But what that also created was this dynamic where fertility clinics were also being forced to shut down because fertility treatment was viewed as an elective procedure during the pandemic. So all of a sudden, you had all these families that were kind of left hanging, not knowing, like, okay, when is my procedure going to get picked up again? Why is it postponed? What do I do in the meantime? And so clinicians actually started reaching out to us to see if they could do any remote hormone monitoring using Oova. And so we quickly pivoted, and our whole business model was thrown out the window. We were always thinking of going direct to consumer, but then we instead picked up this B2B2C model where clinicians could actually recommend the product to their patients. Patients then use the product at home. They scan the test at home, and then they get their results in our app, but the clinician gets their hormone results in their HIPAA-compliant dashboard. So it was really interesting because the first clinic that I got on board was somebody that I had spoken with really early on during my data discovery project, like 3 years prior. And then they reached out, and then they started talking to other clinicians about Oova's technology, and it grew very quickly from there.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing. I think that using other people's networks to grow kind of the reach of your product is a fantastic strategy that I think is very underutilized. Well, I guess you could argue that like influencers is almost the same thing.
It is, but they usually charge, right? So I think there's something about organic word of mouth, because you get one person who has had a positive experience and they tell 5 of their friends. Like, it sounds very small and like tedious to do, but really it's not. It's about building a quality product. And I think that's where that passion really comes back into play, right? If you're passionate about something, you're going to put your all into building the best experience. It's not about having fancy marketing or the best branding. It's about having something at the core that actually works and solves a problem. If you're not doing that, that's where you really need to rely on heavy marketing and like going down that rabbit hole. But for us, we just kicked off marketing last month. Otherwise, we hadn't spent any money on marketing. It's all been organic for the past year.
That's fantastic. And another thing is like obviously that you saw the gap in the market. You invented a product vertical. This is brand new technology, and I think one of the challenges with that is the education piece. So obviously you just kicked off marketing, but like, how did you kind of approach trying to educate people remotely about like what this product does?
So we utilized our clinicians to do that. We kicked off with that first clinic. That took off pretty quickly. We're now in over 88 clinics. So now think about yourself, right? If you're dealing with some sort of an ailment or some problem and you go to your doctor tells you, I think you should use a test like this. You have to still go and purchase it, but you're already 75, 80% sold on purchasing that product.
Yeah,
now you're going to
power of referrals.
Yeah, exactly. Now you're going to go to the website, just educate yourself on what exactly am I buying and purchase it, because your doctor has explained to you what the value is already. So where we did most of our education is talking to the doctors and letting them know what they're gaining and what their patient is empowered to do if they use a product like Oova. And that's what kind of skyrocketed. So we've gone about marketing and sales in a very different angle than anyone else in the space, which is, I think, what also set us apart.
No, yeah, I think that this is definitely a unique strategy that I don't think we've covered much on this show before. You just said you just started kickoff marketing recently. So what does that look like? What's kind of your marketing mix these days?
Sure. So it's really the full gamut, because we did a lot of testing in December. And I know it's also a weird month to do testing because of the holidays, and I think
it's an expensive month to do testing.
Yeah. Well, for fertility, it's really unique, right? Because the holidays can be a really daunting time, especially 2021, because after 2 years, you have people finally sitting around a dinner table again. And you have that nosy aunt that's like, well, why aren't you having kids yet? Why are you waiting so long? And she has no idea what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So I think 2021, especially December, was a very trying time for this community. But our mix is pretty diverse. We have a really small presence on Facebook and Instagram. I think it's a very crowded platform, so we don't go too crazy on there. Mostly Google search. There's a lot of native ads that we're doing. We're about to kick off some streaming stuff, which is exciting. And trying to do the full spectrum.
I would love to talk more about the streaming stuff. What does that entail?
Not sure yet. I can probably have more information for you in a few weeks.
Absolutely. I won't press you too much there. Now, I think that you're uniquely qualified to kind of answer this. Is there anything that you would want to go back and tell your former self, the pre-entrepreneur self, maybe a mistake that you want to avoid, or just some other advice that you think that would help you when your younger self and in the journey that you were about to take on?
Yep. So it's a lesson I learned recently, and I'm still learning it and trying to I keep telling myself okay, no, you need to change this. So I wish I would have told myself this 4 years ago, because I probably would have been in a much better place today. I wish I would have hired people sooner. I think early on, I was so lean on our spend that I was like, oh, well, this is simple enough. I can teach it to myself. I can do it myself. And you can, we're all very capable as an entrepreneur. You're forced to be an expert in many trades, but it's not the fastest way to grow. And it's not the most efficient use of your time. So what I have learned is bringing on experts, even though it costs you money, it's actually saving you substantially, because it's not using up your time. and you can focus on all the other things that are on your plate that will actually grow the business.
Couldn't agree more. Experts are expensive. Smart people are worth it, but what is priceless is time. It is finite, and you can never get more of it. And I think that at the beginning, you should be scrappy, but at a certain point, you have to start bringing in people smarter than you to get things done faster. People that have done it before are going to make your business explode.
Agreed. And we're seeing it. We're seeing it already. And I wish I would have brought these people in 3 years ago, because God knows where we would have been today, but everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely. I can't thank you enough for being on the show today. Is there anything I forgot to ask you that you think would resonate with our audience?
I think one thing that I would highly recommend for any entrepreneur who's kind of setting up on this journey is truly believe in what you're developing. I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are looking for the next market opportunity and just kind of looking for a quick win. But to me, when innovation is what we're all striving for, right? How do you innovate the best thing and actually move the needle in any space? I think the only way that will happen is if the entrepreneur is truly passionate about what they're building, because then you're in the weeds, you care about what you're putting out there, and you're going to move the needle. So for Oova, we're super excited that we're actually moving the needle not only in women's health, but also in at-home diagnostics.
Yeah, I know your product. Again, it's very intriguing. It's unique, and let the audience know if they're curious about the product. Where should they go to learn more information?
Go to our website, www.oova.life. That's oova.life, or follow us on social. We're at Oova Life everywhere.
Well, again, I can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing your insights today.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, I can't thank our guests enough for coming on the show and sharing their knowledge and journey with us. We've got a lot to think about and potentially add into our own business. You can find all the links in the show notes. Make sure you head over to honestecommerce.co to check out all of the other amazing content that we have. Make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and obviously, if you're thinking about growing your business, check out our agency at electriceye.io. Until next time.